Hello everyone, welcome back to Dakota's Political Circle. And today I wanted to make a video. I wanted to make a video on what are the odds on how on who could be Trump's vice president. So I'm going to first of all just show you. I'm going to show you what the actual betting odds for Trump VP is, and then I'm going to show you which ones make the most sense, and then also I'm going to tell you who I think is probably going to be the nominee based on my opinion, what I think it's going to be, and who's actually heating up with the most steam, I guess you could say. Now, first of all, so here's the actual odds. So Tim Scott actually has the highest odds, which is kind of surprising to me, because Trump has always talked about having a woman as his VP. So I just feel like Tim Scott's off on this. Now, obviously, he could switch around and say he's not picking a woman for his VP, but if he wants to, I guess, help his chances, I guess, pick a woman. So Kristi Noem probably, in my opinion, would either Kristi Noem or Tulsi would probably be one of my top choices. At least Stefanik, remember, she's around as well. Not a lot of people are talking about her. She's a little bit under the radar. She could also be a pick. But the top four choices are Tim Scott, Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard, and J.D. Vance. Now, J.D. Vance, I just don't see him having a shot at all. I just don't see it even possible for him. I think he should stay where he is right now, because he's in the perfect situation for himself in Ohio. But I think the top four choices, in my opinion, I'm not going to say it yet, but I think this list is a little bit off based on this. Now, Ben Carson, he's an under-the-radar guy as well, just like Stefanik, under the radar. Ben Carson is actually a possibility at being the next vice president. The only bad thing is, if he is vice president, he's probably not going to be running in 2024, and if he is, most likely it is going to be most likely Ben Carson would probably not be the VP. I said VP because he's older, and at the same time, he's not as energized as other opponents, I guess you could say. Nikki Haley is also way too high on this list. Honestly, she is way too high, in my opinion. Byron Donalds, and also another under the radar one. I think Byron Donalds should be higher on this list. He's really under the radar. I think the under the radar picks are like Byron Donalds, Ben Carson, Stefanik. Tulsi could be, but I think she's kind of a top pick as of right now. Vivek, I think the reason he's so low is because he hasn't been talked about recently. I think that's the reason, but he shouldn't be that low. I think Vivek should be higher. Vivek should be a higher pick, that's definitely, because he is definitely a Trumpian candidate. And I would say he could be right in front of Ben Carson, possibly, in my opinion. Any other ones that are possible here? Okay, this one right here, Marco Rubio. A lot of people are picking up steam that Marco Rubio actually could be the VP. I don't know why I'm saying VP, but Marco Rubio could be the VP. And honestly, I think Marco Rubio would be a bad selection. And I don't know why he's picking up steam, because he's kind of like a snake. I wouldn't say he's like a big Trump ally, but he's not really like, he's like, I guess you could say, a Mike Pence. He's like a Mike Pence type. I just don't trust Marco Rubio at all. I trust several more people than Marco Rubio. Donald Trump Jr. is on this list. I just don't see him being VP. It just seems weird having your son as a VP. It just doesn't make much sense to me. Tucker Carlson could be an option, but I just don't see it that high either. It makes sense why it's this low. Ron DeSantis is even lower. I think Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis should be at the same level right down here, but for some weird reason, Nikki Haley's so high. I don't know why Chris Sununu's so high. That doesn't make much sense either. But yeah, all these down below. Robert Kennedy. I wouldn't put him at the bottom. That literally doesn't make much sense. Now, obviously, Robert Kennedy Jr. is not going to be high on Trump's list at all, period. But betting odds purposes, he shouldn't be this low. That's just pretty pathetic. That literally makes no sense. He should at least be in maybe the 8,000, 9,000 range, but having him all the way down at that's pretty pathetic. I understand he's running as a third-party candidate, but if he got offered as Trump's VP, he'd probably take it. It would happen. But yeah, okay, now let's get to this as well. Okay, so this is the ones that make the most sense in the opinion of the Washington Post. I'm not going to actually read it all. I'm just going to go through the picks. So let's start with the bottom one, which is Vivek. Me personally, I think Vivek should be way higher on this list. Maybe I would say around 4 or 5, because I think he's a top choice for Trump, but I don't see him as a top choice for Trump, like in Trump's opinion. Not in my opinion. In my opinion, I would love Vivek. Vivek would be a perfect choice. But I don't see him that high. I think he's around, I'd probably say around 4 or 5. Next is Carrie Lake. Actually, I can click these. Carrie Lake, I wouldn't see that either. I think Vivek's higher than Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake is running. Why would she be a VP? That just doesn't make sense. I don't even know why she's on the list. That just wouldn't make any sense. She wouldn't even accept, in my opinion, because if she wins her election, what's the use? That just hurts us if you do that. Next is J.D. Vance. Same situation. Why would J.D. Vance accept? It would hurt him. Obviously, Ohio is more conservative, but I still just don't see why J.D. Vance would accept. It just doesn't make any sense. He's also not really a popular pick. Kristi Noem should be higher on the list. She could be a big one for Trump. It could be up there with it could be up there with some others. Probably, I would probably put Kristi Noem at 2, in my opinion. But yeah, Kristi Noem should be way higher on this list. Next one, Nikki Haley, should be bottom tier. Literally bottom tier. I don't see a single reason why Nikki Haley should be on this list. It makes 0 sense. Nikki Haley tried to defeat Trump in the primary, didn't want to endorse Trump. Why would you want Nikki Haley on your side? I understand trying to win her voters over, but it doesn't make sense. Why would you want Nikki Haley? She's a crook. Like, there's literally no reason for Trump. She should be in the bottom of this list. Next is Ron DeSantis. Kind of the same situation, except Ron DeSantis did endorse Nikki Haley. I mean, not Nikki Haley. Ron DeSantis did endorse Trump, but at the same time, he's kind of at that low level with Nikki Haley. You can trust Ron DeSantis possibly at being VP, but at the same time, he's kind of lost his base and all that kind of stuff. I just don't see him that high on this list. Next is Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I think she's doing really well in Arkansas right now. I believe she's the governor now, and I just don't see her leaving that position. Obviously, she could, but I don't know. Sarah Huckabee Sanders shouldn't be Trump's VP. It doesn't really benefit him in any way. I just don't see that happening, in my opinion. Tim Scott for number 2. I would say Tim Scott. I would say Tim Scott is a top 3. I would say he's like the top 3 on Trump's list, mainly because Trump is thinking about getting a woman, and the highest guy I could see possibly Tim Scott, because he's a well-rounded guy, but at the same time he did endorse Trump. He's a well-rounded guy, but at the same time he's not as explosive as other candidates, I guess you could say. But I think Tim Scott is kind of where he needs to be on this list, except he should be at 3, but it's still a good spot for him. Number 1, at least, I believe it's Stefanik, or Stefanik. I honestly can't say her name right, but I think this isn't. I wouldn't say this is a bad spot, but I think she's a more under the radar. Like, I don't see her as a top 3 pick. I see her as maybe like a 6, 7. But at the same time, she's under the radar. Like, anything could happen. If Trump wants to pick a woman, but he doesn't want to pick a well-known woman like Tulsi Gabbard or Kristi Noem, Lee Stefanik is your person you want to get. Not a lot of people know her. Not a lot of people can like bombard her with what she believes, because not many people know her specifically. Even me personally, before Trump even talked, before a lot of people talked about her, I didn't really know her that much. I knew some of her stuff, but not a lot of it. So people that are just getting out the vote and just thinking, oh, who's Lee Stefanik? That's kind of cool. He has a woman. They really don't know her policy. So, I guess it could be a good advantage. I could see that happening for Trump, quite honestly. It's a very high possibility, but I wouldn't put her too high because I would say it's an under-the-radar pick. That's their top 9. I'll also put this in the comments below if you want to read it. I'm not going to read it this time. But yeah, in my opinion, I think the top choice for Trump as of right now, and it could be a tie, but I'd say it's between Kristi Noem and Tulsi Gabbard. Me personally, If it was me, I'd pick Tulsi Gabbard. Now I understand Tulsi Gabbard has been switching on and off, not as of late, but remember she endorsed Bernie Sanders. She was a big Bernie Sanders supporter. She supported Bernie Sanders ideologies, but at the same time, she became very, very, very conservative in the last couple of years. And she's pushed a lot of stuff out the window, not everything, but she's pushed a lot of stuff out the window. But remember, Tulsi Gabbard used to be a Democrat. But at the same time, this pick could be very strategic. I think this probably could be the most strategic pick for Trump, mainly because a lot of people remember Tulsi Gabbard as the one that supported Bernie Sanders, that was in the Democratic primary. They'd be like, oh, Trump has someone on his thing that's not ultra conservative. I think that could be the top choice in my opinion, only because he can win those independent voters over those Bernie voters, possibly. I wouldn't say a huge possibility for that, but I could see independent voters definitely pushing towards that Tulsi Gabbard bid. For, absolutely. And she's not, I don't think she's a Republican. I believe she's an independent now. So it's also a interesting thing to see that as well. An independent as vice president and a Republican as the president. So that could also help her in that case. My second pick would be Kristi Noem. I would say the reason is because people do know Kristi Noem personally. Kristi Noem it would be a great pick, but at the same time, remember, a lot of people know who Kristi Noem is. Some people know her values. She's a governor. Remember that. She isn't a senator. So like she doesn't explicitly put out her values, I guess you could say, on her votes. Oh, well, not votes. She doesn't vote, but on her like things she signs into law. So there's not a lot of people know what she's about, but they know she's a Republican. I would say that's a good second choice. Third choice, I would put possibly, I would say Tim Scott, but I want someone that's more of like a, if I was Trump, I would want someone that's more younger. I would say Byron Donalds. The reason is because he's a little bit out there. He's kind of like Elise Stefanik. You don't know him that well, but you know he's conservative. But at the same time, he's kind of trustworthy because you've seen his leadership style if you've watched Byron Donalds. I'd say he's a good third pick. Fourth, I'd say Tim Scott. I've already mentioned why just a little bit ago. And maybe fifth, I would maybe put my fifth pick. I'd probably say, if it's a top pick, I would say Elise Stefanik. The reason is if and I'm talking in like Trump terms, like if Trump picked him, not me personally. Like me personally, I would want Vivek. I would want Vivek, for example. Like Vivek would be my top choice. But for in Trump's terms, if I would bet on it, I would say at number 5, I would put Stefanik. Now, obviously, any of these could shift around in my opinion, but I think the top choice for Trump as of right now is probably Tulsi Gabbard. And in my opinion, probably the best choice you can get if you want to draw out a lot of voters. But anything can happen. Remember, it's Trump. This isn't just a normal politician. It's Trump. So he can pick anyone. It might be a surprise. Honestly, I think it's going to be a surprise pick that a lot of people are probably not going to know who it's going to be. But if he doesn't, it could be a win-win situation. You never know. But yeah, I just want to know in the comments, guys, who do you think could be the vice president? I just put my scenario out there who I think Trump will pick. Obviously, you saw the betting odds, you saw the lists and stuff like that. And also, I wanted to show you this as well before we go. I just want to show you how Trump is doing in the general election polling. And as of right now, he is still in the lead with 2 percentage points, and he is still rising a lot like usual. Obviously, he took a tiny dip, but he's still basically 2 points ahead of Biden. And that is great. It's great to see it. And Trump's still winning. Hasn't been down at all with the RCP average, I think, since November. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm not sure where my next video is going to be. I just thought of this at random because I saw a lot of VP talk on Twitter. So I was like, well, might as well use like a betting odds thing and just see how that works out. I don't want to make this video too long though, guys. So whenever the next video comes out, it'll be coming out. Obviously, I post maybe like every other day, every day sometimes, and maybe every 3 days. It really just depends on what comes up in news, or if I think of a good scenario to pull out. Like I might even do like maybe a video with VP picks. How could Trump perform with VP picks in the presidential election? But we'll see. I don't know. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.